Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you being here. This is our May Exchequer meeting where we're going to talk about SCARS, which means the Society for Creative Anachronisms Registration System, or SCA Reg System, SCARS for short. It is a pre-registration tool where we can collect payments before events happen and take them by credit card payments. You can use credit card or your PayPal account, however, whichever is easier for you. I do believe debit cards also work. So if you don't like using credit cards, you can do that. We're gonna talk about basically what the workflow looks like from start to finish. And first, let me start by introducing our deputies. Her Grace Lane is going to be our PayPal deputy, but she's working with us with SCARS too until we get PayPal up and going. And then Isa is our SCARS deputy, who may someday be both SCARS and PayPal. We'll see. It just depends on how much of a workload we have, if we can do it with one person or if we do actually need to have two. So SCARS is super easy on our side. Society does most of the work for us. So I'm hoping that we use SCARS more than PayPal just for that reason. But I think it's definitely going to be great to have both tools, because with PayPal comes with PayPal here at the door. And I would love to pay by credit card at the door. Just saying. I'd rather not carry my checkbook around. Those are our two ladies, and let's see, we're recording. I am going to mute people for now. We'll have plenty of time for questions at the end. I'm going to mute everybody so that we don't get any background noise. Looks like we're good. It's just me. And if you guys have questions, there's a reactions button. And under that reactions button is a raise your hand. So if you have questions in the meantime, as we're going through things, just raise your hand and we'll come back at you. There's also a chat bar if you want to go in and ask questions through that. So with that, I think I'm going to hand it over to Isa. She's going to talk about the forms to start with.
Hi, everybody. So we have a couple different forms that is required by society, and then that we will require here in the kingdom. So the first one was sent to you in the email. And basically that needs to be filled out by your seneschal, and that goes up to kingdom and then on to SCA Inc. Okay. So that will be on our SCARS web page, which will be a division of the Exchequer page. And it will be in a fillable PDF form. So we don't have to worry about, printing things out. You can just go online, fill in the form, either save it or print out a hard copy and then mail it in. And eventually, like I said, it will go on to kingdom. From there, once your event is approved, then you will get to go on to there's a link to, it's called Required SCARS Event Documentation. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the link into chat so that you can take a look at it. Okay.
It's also part of the email that I sent the reminder yesterday.
Great. So if you want to click on that, you can follow along, or I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Okay, so this is the required SCARS event information. And once you've been approved by Society Seneschal, Society Exchequer to hold an event, you come to this link and you're going to type in, it should be pretty, we should be okay with this. Should be pretty self-explanatory. You've got your event name, and we would like event names to be the date and then the event, or the year in the event. That way it's easier for our record keeping. And then we'll have event start date, end date, and then when you want online registration to open, and then when you want online registration to close. Now, keep in mind, registration has to close 2 weeks before the event starts, okay? And this is for us to help process any returns that, that may need to happen. It also allows us to go, okay, there's a wait list, or there's more people registered, you can fit in more people for the event. We need a brief overview of the event so we can drop it into the SCARS system, where your event is located, a link to your page, what branch is hosting the event, the event steward's email, the event steward's phone number, what's the best contact method, the reservationist who will be working with me when we decide, okay, you have so many people who have asked for refunds, or you have so many people signed up for this event and you had 5 cancels, so now we can fit in some more. So we can kind of do that on the back end. I also need to know, and as a side note, the reservationist needs to be, if they're going to be taking PayPal, they will need to be a warranted officer of the Exchequer. So just keep that in mind. Contact information. I need the Exchequer's legal name, what fee you're going to be choosing, your site fee, and then the total number of attendees allowed on site. And this is going to be set between SCA regulation and whatever state you're located in's current local guidelines. And then I also will need the number of comped attendees and their modern names if available, because what I can do is I can register them through the back end of SCARS, so they don't have to register for anything. And this is a much easier way of registering for an event if they are going to be comped. So, and then if you're charging additional merchant fees, if, for example, if you're charging $10 for like tables or something, I just need to know that so I can populate the system for that as well. So before I go on, are there any questions? And because I'm sharing my screen, I can't see the chat. So if Dawn, if you want to let me know.
There's no questions in chat yet.
Gotcha. All right, we'll go ahead and move on then. All right.
I did want to mention that the reservationist can also be the branch exchequer. Bigger events, sometimes you need extra personnel, so you might have separate people doing separate jobs. But the reservationist, basically the reservationist is the person who is taking pre-registrations for your event. So the person who would be collecting the mail-in registrations paid by check would go to the reservationist. And again, that can be the branch exchequer, the gatekeeper, whoever's running gate. All 3 of those jobs can be the same person. But bigger events, you might want to have an extra, a backup person. That's usually nice, or 2.
And the event steward is the new name for autocrat.
Yes.
Just wanted to be sure I got the terminology right.
Mm-hmm. Just like we use gate instead of troll, we use event steward instead of autocrat. Okay, so I have a question from Citadel. What is the timeline to submit this after the event has been approved and is on the calendar? You want to submit this paperwork after your SCARS paperwork that went up to society has been approved. And then after it's been approved, it'll take me about, honestly, 20 minutes to put it in the system, but you know, I do work. So we're allowing you to give me about 48 hours to get a system online, okay?
It seems like an awful lot of paperwork. Are the people available at corporate to handle this many requests?
For society's stuff, I think once the June 1st resolution occurs, I think they're letting the kingdoms make their own decisions. So what we're looking for with the SCARS authorization is our kingdom seneschal. The kingdom seneschal signs it to let us know that all of that's been taken care of. All we're doing is setting up an event in the system to help you guys with registration beforehand. As far as the society approvals, I'm not sure what all that entails. That would be a Christine question, actually. I do believe that the Crown and the Kingdom Seneschal have requested some time to confirm that the local area gathering limits are accurate so that you guys aren't putting too much work into something that will only have 10 people at. So I think that research is probably going to take longer than it is for us to get the event set up in SCARS by a lot.
So I've got a question. In the reopening resolution from the BOD, they offered the SCARS system as a way to also handle pre-registration for things like fighter practice and things like that, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense with fees and those types of things. Is there a more streamlined process for recurring practices, or is it the same full process for those as well as events?
For fighter practices and populist meetings and things like that, there's a handy little tool in SCARS where we can just copy a previous event, so it's a lot easier to set up. We can do free events in SCARS because there's no payment due, there's no credit card transaction to process a fee. Okay. So a free event set up in SCARS is absolutely completely free for these first 3 months. After the 3 months, there will be that event fee.
Right.
Yeah, but if it's a free event, there's no transaction fees.
Right.
So we can use SCARS if that's an easier tool for you guys to use on fighter practices and meetings and stuff.
Okay.
Thanks, Garrett. That's where I was going.
I got your back.
There will be a required SCARS meeting / fighter practice thing that you can just fill out. It'll be a little less involved than this form that you're currently looking at. And like I said, it's really, really easy to copy an event and just change the date and change the name. So it's a really quick system. So speaking of that, let's go on and show you guys how to register for an event. How's that sound? So this is what I'm using right now is you're seeing the SCA, you're seeing like a test database. So you can't go live right now and actually sign up for events.
It should look like this though.
But it looks exactly the same. So here's, all of my information. This is where you renew your membership. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you see register for SCA events. This is the same system they use for Gulf Wars. So it should be familiar to some people. And this is what the upcoming event screen looks like for Outlands. So you can scroll by the different kingdoms, but Outlands will come up as your default, okay? So let's see, let's go to Crown, shall we? So here's our event for Crown. As you can see, I can populate it with your whatever device. I stole this off the Battlemore Facebook page. So whatever you want, you can tell me whatever you want and it'll be up here. So it's kind of a nice thing. So basically, you're just going to click on test. You're going to click on event details over here. And here are the event details. Here are the fees. And then we can create a new registration. So if I want to just register myself, I would click on register yourself. Okay. And because my member number, I've logged in under my own account, my member number is in here. I can put in emergency contact names if required. You don't have to. And I can either add my registration to cart or I can add registrants. So if I want to add somebody to someone who I'm paying for, so you get this big red box here, okay? You're only going to receive the member rate if your member number is in this box right here, okay? So I can click add another person. Let's see. And right now my husband is not a member because I have a single membership. Oops.
You also need a birth date too, because that'll automatically populate whether you're putting in a youth fee or an adult fee.
There we go. And it gives you a warning box. Is this person an SCA member? If so, please register by their member number or select from family. Okay. Let's see. So then you just click on register your group.
I think you need to remove it. Yeah.
Ah!
There's an error at the bottom. You need to click OK. There you go.
And so it comes up automatically member fee right here, non-member fee right here. And then you just click add to cart. And then from here, you can either do your credit card, or is the workaround for checks in the test system?
No, that's a manual input on the back end.
Yep. All right. So this would be,
4111.
oh, that's right.
Oh, 4111.
Well, that-
No one, not 123. There you go. This is the official testing only credit card number.
So here it is. And then you can either print, you can go to back to upcoming events.
There. There's a box at the bottom to sit OK.
Oh, my bad.
They're still working on moving some of this stuff up so it shows up on the
Oh.
screen you're actually looking at.
So that was for an event that costs money. Let me give you, here's like a test weekly archery night kind of thing. So you click on event details. There is no fee for this meeting. Here's some verbiage I put in there when I created the event. You just go to register. Add to cart. There's everything here. And it doesn't even ask you for payment, so you just hit confirm registration. Okay. You can go
So
back
I'm
to-
assuming that these weekly fighter practice things aren't subject to that 14-day in advance cutoff date and all that stuff, right? that's just for payment?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
For the free events, we'll probably want to have you guys, we would like to close that at least the day before.
Yeah,
Yeah,
uh,
that way we
when
can
we
get
were
a
talking
list.
about the reopening process, the Seneschals and the Crown agreed that the cutoff date would be 24 hours before the event. So if it started at noon, it has to be noon the day before.
Right.
So okay.
Yeah, and that's because we just need to, because we have mundane lives too, but we can go in there and pull that report of people who've registered so that your reservationist or you seneschals or whoever's in charge of the meetings or fighter practices has some kind of list that they can mark people off that they've registered when they come in.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then if you want to look and see what you've been signed up for, you can just go to view, modify my registrations. And everything will be in here. So these are the things that I've signed up for. And then here's all the current registrations. And it gives you kind of some details there. So
Yes,
if-
the reason for two lists is that the left side is the ones that you personally registered for. The ones on the right are ones that you're registered for, but maybe you're not the one who signed you up. So you have both. They may be different.
Mhm.
Sorry.
So what questions does everyone have? Oh, I see chat's huge.
I had a quick question, and now I can't remember what it was. So I have to look at what I said on the chat.
The Google Docs about.
Yeah, I was just wondering, thank you. Because I don't remember shit anymore. I was wondering if this was going to be posted on the Outlands webpage or if it's going to remain in Google Docs, because I kind of like having something that I can save so that my the person who's coming after me, because I'm only here for a few months, can also access it easily in case I forget to tell her something.
The link to the Google Docs will be on the SCAR's webpage, which will be under the Exchequer page. It's not quite live yet. And if you're an officer, you should be using an officer email. That way everything's always saved. But you can print out your responses to this as well if you need to. And of course, I have all this information is saved on a master spreadsheet. So I can, if they have questions, I can go back and pull everything. And if things change, not a problem. I can be flexible about changing things. It's relatively easy. So, and yes, non-members can pre-register. Or if you are if you have been an SCA member in the past and your membership has lapsed, you can also register as well.
It will probably ask you if you want to renew your membership at that time. One of those error boxes.
They will be able to do it on their own, I believe. They do not need to be sponsored by a member to sign up for an event, to register for an event. And they'll be given a member number at that time. They'll still sign up for the SCA.org. They'll be given a member number, but it'll be like a non-paying member. Let's see. A disclaimer to be posted at all events. Would it be possible to add this to the Google registration form along with a checkbox to confirm they saw it? I don't think the people who are organizing the event need to know about the disclaimer. I think the registrants need to know about the disclaimer. Is that correct? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I was thinking that they need to see it. It has to be posted at the event, but if they're registering for fighter practice, that they should read it and understand what the requirements are. That's all I was thinking.
Yes. Yeah, that's an excellent idea. Let me add a box for that. What requirements you want me to put up? Because again, we span three different states at this point. So,
Yeah, we can add the verbiage, the disclaimer verbiage. We won't have the ability to put a checkbox that they understand, but we can have it on there so that it's at least there.
It's the one that says health acknowledgement. By attending this event, you are confirming that you, as well as any minors that you're a parent or guardian for, XYZ, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, we can add it to the registration and SCARS as a special instruction, but we won't be able to have them confirm that at the time of registration. You'll want
We
them.
can, all we have to do is add language at the bottom that says, by registering, you acknowledge, this declaration or whatever. Easy enough.
and I can put that in, let me see. Yeah, I can drop that in, not a problem. Because I have, let's see. So this block right here, like this is flexible right here. So I can drop any information in right here. So I could drop that, by registering for this event statement right there. I can drop in, contact information for, whoever is running the event right here. It's a really flexible system. So I'll show you this one, register. So this one was an event that was free that I programmed in here. So but yeah, like I can drop in verbiage right here. And then I can drop in verbiage right here as well. So it's pretty easy to use.
Amy had a question about whether they, if they don't register for a free event. So that would be on the people keeping track of the free stuff.
Yeah,
If somebody shows up to an event, it's my understanding that they will be turned away if they did not pre-register.
sort of.
Sort of.
The kingdom guidelines are that we can set up events, practices, gatherings, whatever, at a maximum of 50% of the local gathering limit under the COVID restrictions. So the Crown has stated that they picked that number so that if somebody drives 3 hours to get to your event and forgot to pre-register, you don't have to close down the event because you're over the cap. It gives you some wiggle room to still maintain compliance with local regulations. Given that the Seneschals have talked about the pre-registration and attendance limits and things like that, and we've kind of got that pretty much in hand. It's not really something that needs to be handled on the Exchequer side.
Right. Yeah.
So as long as we have the list of, who has pre-registered in the SCARS system, we can take it from there. So.
Awesome. Yeah, SCARS is just kind of a tool to help you guys with doing pre-registrations if you want. If it's easier just to send out a mass email to your local group or a posting on your Facebook page and have people comment there to say, yeah, I'm going to be there. That's totally fine. SCARS is just another tool you can use if you want to. It's not required to use this for fighter practices or meetings, but if you want to, it will be good practice for us setting up events.
Right.
After 3 months or so, probably not cost effective, but yeah. However you guys want to do your pre-registrations for meetings and practices and stuff is completely on you guys. And
yeah,
we're here to help you if you need us. Yeah.
Well, eventually, hopefully, we won't have to be registering for fighter practice every week.
Fingers crossed.
Yes. Let's see.
Do you want me to show them the back end so I can see who's registered, or and how I can send like the reservationist emails, or
Why don't you show them the authorization, since that's the form they must sign out, or not sign out. They have to fill that out because that goes on to society. This form is a required form as well. It's actually page 1 of the 2 things that we need to do. But even if we're doing free events, society needs to be able to track and reconcile that event on their end so that they know that fees aren't collected or are collected and can cut a check in a timely manner. So this will be the form that has the very basic information, which is why we needed the Google Doc for the extra stuff. Do you have it there, or do you want me to open mine?
I've got it.
Okay,
Let's see.
there it is.
So this will be a fillable form online. It'll be a PDF. You can save it to your drive if you have outlands.org email, or you can print out and keep a hard copy. So, but this form, we can't modify it. I know tenting is not a phrase that we use here, but just replace tenting with camping in your mind when we get camping. So
Yeah, pretend it's like the full event fee. If it's more than just a weekend, yeah, the tenting would be like a full event. Yeah, we don't really use onboard either as a term for feast.
but this is a society document, so
It may be subject to change. I know that there were a lot of questions when we were going through training on this form, and we're hoping that it will get better. But for now, we're stuck with it. And then we have the Google Doc to get the rest of the information that we need. Or unless you guys are doing flyers, if you guys are creating flyers that has all that information from the Google Doc, we'll take that too. It's whatever is easier for you. We just wanted you to have something to fill out on our end in case you don't do flyers. Because I think that is actually on the form here somewhere to send in with a flyer. That's a thing they do in the South.
please send a copy of the approved flyer.
Yeah. For us, that's the required event Google Doc. Unless you do flyers. That's fine too.
Have
Yeah, if you
talked
wanna-
with the Kingdom calendar coordinator about combining the Google Doc for SCAR's registration with the documentation the Kingdom calendar deputy needs, just to kind of make it a little bit more streamlined?
That's a great idea, and I'll reach out to her.
Cool.
I think, let's see. We had a question about, let's see. Correct. SCARS does not need to be used for free events, but it can be.
For the first 3 months, yeah. After August is over, if you want to use it for a free event, that's fine. I would probably limit it to some of the bigger ones, like maybe a newcomers, where you would tend to have maybe 150 people. And yeah, if your attendance is going to be high, the $25, if that's what the event fee is, might actually be worth it to have it set up in SCARS for you.
Yeah, we've had lots of people wondering why we weren't taking credit cards and stuff for a long time. So giving them the option could be worth it, but then only about half the people who show up pre-register anyway. So
Right.
you got to run the numbers.
I think you might find that with the limits,
Yeah.
you're going to have more people pre-register for things because they want to make sure that they can get into the event. So,
Right. Until they realize that, like here in Kerguelen, the only COVID-based site limit is 500 people for an indoor event, an indoor large gathering like a concert or something. And, that may vary, of course, but, hopefully with the vaccines going out, we're not going to be in this mode for too much longer. We'll see.
Joella had a question about how we would handle cancellations. Cancellations are easy. As if you've registered for the event and you want to cancel, you can cancel up to 2 weeks before the event happens. And then we'll process your refund. Refunds come by local exchequer check. It does not come through credit cards at all. And you won't.
Go ahead. I was gonna say, and you won't get your refund until after the event closes, like the end of the actual event. Not that it just closed in SCARS, because the exchequer's got to receive that check from society so that they have the money to send those refunds back to people.
Right. What if we have to cancel the event?
If you have to cancel the event, okay, so if the registration is still open in SCARS, and if it comes down to last minute, we can always change it so that the event opens up again. Isa, do you want to show them how to modify the reservation in the SCA website? So if SCARS is, if the event is still open in SCARS, you can go into your membership services and go to your events. And in here, so if you pick one of these, let's say let's do test fall. Yeah. If you modify from here, you can actually cancel it in here. I believe we want to remove people is how we do that. So if we go back.
Yeah. When you clicked modify registration, there was a button next to it that said cancel registration.
Yeah. There it is. Sorry, I said the wrong word.
Yep.
So it's as simple as that. You just press a button. And so what will happen is there will be a credit on your account on your membership number. And at the end of the event, ISA will go in and pull a refund report and send that to the branch exchequer so that they know that those are all people who need to have checks written back to them. Super easy. If the event is already closed in SCARS, so you're in that 2-week period between SCARS's registration is closed, but the event hasn't happened yet, that is going to be a financial committee decision on whether you allow refunds before the event happens. If it's a kingdom level event, it'll be the Kingdom Financial Committee, but as far as your own local events, you follow your own financial policy based on what you guys want to do for refunds and cancellations. And again, the check is still going to come from your branch, and it will wait until after the event closes. Now for mass cancellations, if the event has already closed in SCARS and say 2 days beforehand, we need to cancel it. SCARS has the ability for us to blast email all the registrants and let them know that this event has changed. And we can open up the registration window again to allow people to come in here and cancel through SCARS so that we have one nice clean report, not 1,000 emails coming from people who want to get refunds back.
Okay.
It should be super easy. Money will never come from society to a registrant or a participant. The money will go to the branch, and then the branch will issue the refunds.
All 300 checks.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt to have a stockpile of checks just in case. I was
We will
thinking I
try not to
probably,
cancel events.
yeah, try not to. Yeah, that would be great. It is my understanding that even though you have a credit on file, you may or may not be able to put that towards a different event. I'm not sure about that. I think ideally they want to be able to do that, but I think that they can't because tracking and splitting things between different events for 150 people going 150 different ways. I think they prefer to have the refund go back to the person and then they re-register for the event and pay all over again.
Yeah.
But it could change later. I know for Gulf Wars, when they canceled Gulf Wars through SCARS, they were allowing people to get credit card refunds. And they found out that that was a very, very big, huge problem with tracking and additional transaction fees and all of that. And so it was a nightmare. So that's why they prefer to have the branches issue paper checks to people who are canceling events. It may change later. I think it will also depend on the new credit company that society decides to use to try to get our transaction fees down. But for now, it's a paper check.
Fair enough.
Okay. I think at this point, if you wanted to show them the report that comes out of SCARS, after we set up an event, we'll send you a blank form. So you're going to get to see a little bit of the back end.
Let's see. So keep in mind, this is our test playground. So there's a lot of stuff here that is not
None of
live.
these actually exist. I do want to go to Slane's background crown though.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanna go to Crown and Slane's backyard. Yeah.
So essentially, whatever logo you send me for the event, whether it be the local logo or the event logo, that can go up here and that populates on the back page of the website. But this gives me all the information right here. And why we want the Google Doc form is just so that it's easier for me to go through and get everything in the right order in the right system. So essentially, did anyone, oh good, we had people sign up for this event. So
It was me.
I can resend the registration emails. Congratulations, you're registered for this event. I can go to pending refunds. There's no one has decided they don't want to go to Crown in Slane's backyard.
I mean, who wouldn't?
Right. Here's where I can put in the disclaimer. Let's see, by registering, blah, 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 blah. I can put that in here and that'll auto populate on the website. So we can do that. Let's see. I can also send an email to all the active registrants and let them know, hey, Slane's backyard crown is still on. We're so excited to have you come. Don't forget, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing that you guys can do. I can blast to all the canceled registrants. And then I've got a roster, which is everyone who's coming.
It's a little awkward that Slane didn't sign up for her own backyard crown.
Well, funny that you should ask, because if it's her own backyard crown, I can go through and put her in this event.
I think she was listed as the reservationist, which, by the way, that person
Yeah.
also needs to register, but
Well,
But
am I
as a
to be
reservation-
comped? That's what I want to know.
can you get comped? Absolutely.
Yeah,
Well,
okay.
yeah.
No, Slane, you get to pay $50 because you're working. That's how it works.
All right. It's for the good of the game. I'll do it.
All right. So I need someone's modern name. So this is the active SCA database right here, and it's all based on modern names. So someone give me their
Arnold.
name in chat.
Yeah,
Hey,
put
Daniel, you can use mine.
Okay. Okay, Sarah, what's your last name? Thomas. So I can go here, Sarah Thomas. Whoops, let me move the chat window. There's a lot of you.
You can try Kate,
I'm the third
Catherine,
one.
Daniel. There might not be that many of us.
You're the third one. You're the third
That's
one.
me.
Okay, perfect. Let me get rid of the chat window. Click on you. All right, so here you are. Here's your information. And then I'm going to go up to registration. And I'm going to register you. Oh, that's a closed event. Hang on. I'm registering you for the archery night at Citadel. So register. And there you go. You got in for free, my friend. You have been comped for that event.
It was a free event.
Well, okay. But anyway.
You know
Does
what I
that
mean.
mean you can also cancel people if we had to mass cancel an event?
I do not believe we have that ability.
Okay.
No?
Because by canceling, you're requesting a refund. If you decide you don't want to get a refund, then you would just leave that registration open. You're getting feedback from someone,
Yeah.
but it's just you and me. That's weird.
So does
Do
anyone have any other questions?
you want to show them the report that you're going to send the reservationist? I think it's the
Yes.
roster sign-in sheet under outputs. Yeah, report sign-in sheets.
Can you guys see that okay?
We're just seeing your cumulus.
All right, hang on. I think I have to share a new screen. Give me a sec. Okay. There you go.
There we go.
So the cool thing about this form is that whatever other options you have available, so it'll have the registration fees, but if you also have a feast, it'll create a column for feast. If you have, say, a merchant fee, it'll create a column for merchant fee. So every event is going to be different based on how much they're charging and what kind of things they're charging for. So as part of the confirmation process of letting you guys know we've got it set up, we're going to send you a blank one of these to the reservationist, and they can use it to track any check payments that they get. And then at the end, when SCARS closes, we'll send a new report with all of the people who have registered through SCARS. And then the exchequer or reservationist can go in and copy paste, because the columns won't change. They can copy and paste all of their check payments onto that SCARS payment form and have it all on one form for check-in at gate. Does that make sense? And it'll have your mundane names, I don't believe it'll have the SCA name, but it will have the membership number. And even though it gives you the expiration date, your gatekeeper should still be looking at blue cards to make sure. Because a lot of times people might lapse in between registration and event opening dates. So we still want the gatekeepers to check blue cards, but it's on there just in case you need it. So that will be part of the confirmation. So you'll know that we've got it set up for you when you get that form from us. And you can copy and paste it and make it all one pretty form at the end. So you have your checks and SCARS payments at the same time. And I'll sort it by names and all the good stuff. All right, let me just look at chat here real quick. Now it can be, okay, who's submitting the forms? That is my next thing. Did you have anything else you wanted to show people, Lisa?
This is the one for a test Battlemore event. So you'll see it has like feast, camping, all the other fees that are involved with a larger event. So it's all right there. So, and I think the persona name will populate with whatever's on your blue card. But I am not 100% sure.
Yeah, it'll be whatever has been set up in the SCA site.
So if it would be for like a free fighter practice and you want to use SCARS, I guess anyone who's going to be the reservationist, who could be the marshal, who's going to be in charge of that event. I mean, it's up to you guys. So, but yeah, if it's going to be an event, probably just the exchequer.
I saw a question about who will have access to Cumulus. Just one login per kingdom. So it'll just be Isa and Slane and I who will share that login, because additional user licenses cost money. So they're only splurging for one license per kingdom. So Cumulus is only the back end stuff for us to set up your events. The only thing your group is going to do are the two forms to set up the event in the beginning and getting a report from us when the SCARS event closes so that you have something to check people in at gate, and getting a check from society. That's all you got to do. It's super simple. I will share the roles and responsibilities form here real quick, because
Constance has a question about comped people.
Yeah.
Yes, if you send me the list, and if we go back to the required SCARS documentation Google form, if you can send me their mundane names or their member numbers, yes, I can just, I'll put them in on the back end for the comp people. Mm-hmm.
Please do confirm that they're showing up though, because if you have a limited number of people allowed, you want to make sure your comps check in before the event happens so that you can still let other people in if they are not able to come. All right, so let me go to my little goofy little cheat sheet. Thank you, Isa. That was amazing. All right. So I kind of created this form because I know that there's going to be questions. What's the difference between SCARS and PayPal? And right now, PayPal is not currently available. We've got some backend stuff to get set up before we can make PayPal go live. But essentially, this is like kind of a workflow spreadsheet on how each of one of them works. With the SCARS system, at the very beginning, the event steward or autocrat or seneschal for the group whoever's doing the event planning, make sure that you're adjusting your budgets for the SCARS fees. They will be minimal, but sometimes they're a little bit more than you expect at the end. And when you get your check from society, it will already have those fees deducted. So you're just going to get the net proceeds. So you want to make sure that when you're budgeting that event, that you put in there that if we're allowing 50 people to register for this and they all pay through SCARS, 3% of that, based, whatever your site fee is going to be automatically deducted. So you want to make sure that's part of your budget when you go to financial committees so that you guys have an informed decision to make. You'll want to have a web page created or a link to on a Facebook page, whichever. We can attach that link in SCARS. So if you tell us what that link is, we can put it in SCARS so people can be like, was that the event that I wanted to go to? And they can click on it and go to your event posting and see, oh yeah, that's the one I want. On the flip side, what you guys can do on your event page is have a direct link to those membership services on SCA.org, which will be the same every time in your event posting. So people can see the event on your Facebook page and go, oh, here's where I can register, and it'll take them directly to SCA.org. There's the authorization request that I still went through, and then the required event information form. Those two forms we need to have in order to set it up. There is a third form for merchants. Probably will only be used for Battlemore because Battlemore has multiple levels of merchant fees based on land size. But for most local groups, if you even charge your merchants extra on top of site fee, it's probably one fee for all. Like all the merchants are going to pay extra $10 or something. It's not going to be as tiered as it would be for, say, Battlemore. So there is a third page that you can fill out for those types of events if you have merchant fees. And I believe that the Google Doc for the required information has that link on it already, so you can go straight there from that form. And then you're going to send that authorization to the SCARS deputy at outlands.org email address, and she'll get that set up. I also want to get a copy of that from my records, because if society is going to contact us with a question, they're going to contact me first. So I would like to know. You also want to send a copy of that to your branch exchequer. So it's really up to you guys within your group if it's the event steward who's sending that form to the SCARS deputy, or if it's the branch exchequer. I kind of think that if the event steward is the one putting the budget together and getting all the approvals set in place, maybe they're the ones who want to just make sure it gets to everybody else. And then if you have a list of potential PayPal here swipers, so that's when PayPal becomes available. We'll have to do additional training for swipers at the door, and we'll want a list of that before the event happens so that we can get them trained and warranted before the event happens. And then again, you want to confirm that your comps will be attending and to let your reservationists know so that the reservationists and ISA can have that conversation on whether we need to change the limits in SCARS, because once that limit is hit, that event closes. That's why we need to know. And if we can add more spaces, great. Normally, in a perfect world, we'd only put 75% of your occupancy into SCARS. That way you have 25% to wait for at gate or check payments or something like that. That way we're not taking all of your reservations from you. But since we're kind of pre-reg only right now, we'll do what you want. If you have an event you can have 50 people at and 10 of them are comps, we just need to know both those numbers, and that's on the form, so that we can put 40 in. So we got 50 minus the 10, or if we're putting the comps in for you, and that's something that you and the reservationist we'll want to discuss if you want to track that in your branch or if you want ISA to track that for you. She can put the comps in automatically and then we'll keep that limit at 50. But if you guys want to track that on your own, we'll drop that limit to 40 if you know that 10 comps are coming. From there, the SCARS deputy is going to, sorry, too fast. All right, from there, the SCARS deputy is going to receive that authorization. They're going to set up the event within 24 to 48 hours. They're going to notify the reservationist, or the reservationist will need to notify the deputy if there's changes in the capacity limits. And then that will send that blank event form, that spreadsheet, as a confirmation that the event has been set up. And then that reservationist can use that to track comps and mailed in checks, unless we're tracking comps for you, either way. Stop scrolling, sorry. And then after registration closes, which is 14 days before the beginning of the event, we'll pull a final report for your reservationist to cut and paste the check payments on there and get it ready for whoever's running gate. Make sure that they're still checking blue cards at the door. Other than that, it's just a check mark and a signature. Send this report to the reservationist, and then that's it. Like, it's super easy for us to, once that event's been set up, it kind of runs itself until it closes 14 days before the event. And then with the reservationist, they'll get a copy of that form so that they know what to expect. They'll receive the confirmation from us that it's been set up. They'll receive mailed registrations and payments if people are paying by check. And they will also send email confirmations to those people who are paying by checks. They'll update the SCARS deputy if the comps change or if we need to change the limits on SCARS. And after registration closes, they'll send the report, they'll get a report from the SCARS deputy where they can copy and paste those check confirmations. And then they will be the ones who receive the check from corporate. It'll actually go to the branch exchequer, but I suspect a lot of you guys will be your own reservationists for most events. For some of the bigger ones, you might have a separate person who's doing just the registrations or the reservations. And that seems pretty easy. They get all of this stuff and collect it and then track checks, and that's about it. They send everything onto the gate person and ready to go. And then I've got the section down here for the registrant and participant. They simply go into SCA.org, log in, find the event, register for it, pay for it, all in one shot. Now, if they want to pay by check, then we're working on a form that they can, kind of a blanket pre-event, pre-registration for any event kind of form, still in process. But we're working on it. If they want to pay by check, we'll have that ready for people to mail in with the check to the reservationist. If they're unsure of the amount, they can email the reservationist, and hopefully that'll be posted on your event advertisement to find out for sure. And again, they'll receive an email confirmation. So that's SCARS. It's super easy, I think. PayPal has a few more steps. It seems overwhelming right now to me because it's all mostly training. But I'm told that PayPal is also very simple. The difference that we see here is the 2.2% plus 30 cents per transaction. And I want you to know, I already did the math. If your event is $37.50 per registration, you're going to break even on either one of them, not including that one-time event fee. So if your event site fee is less than $37.50, SCARS is going to be cheaper for you. If it goes over $37.50, PayPal will be cheaper for you. So that's the difference between the two of them for payments. And that's because PayPal has a much better contract with their credit card processing company. So to get that 2.2%. There are a few more steps with PayPal. There's going to be a link that when you guys set up a link for your event, if you're using PayPal for pre-registration, you will have to have that PayPal logo on there with a direct link to the Google Doc that will be set up for participants to fill out. The differences here with PayPal and SCARS, these highlighted areas are kind of still questions for me. It's my understanding that we'll need to do some training to get the precise procedure or workflow down. But basically the difference between SCARS and PayPal is SCARS, you pay as soon as you register. With PayPal, you're essentially requesting an invoice as a participant when you go to that link and fill out the Google Doc. You'll fill out the Google Doc. That's a request for an invoice, and then we will send an invoice to you, and that's when you pay. So it could be 24 to 48 hours, same window as it is to set up a SCARS event, but that's per participant. And it should be easy enough to get those invoices out, even if we have 101 day. I'm told there's a super easy import option to an invoice. My PayPal deputy has told me about. That makes it super easy, but until we get through training, I'm not sure. Still overwhelms me, just saying. It'll be fine though. But there's a few extra steps, but I think the most significant is for the person who's registering for the event is that they have to wait for that invoice to pay. So they'll register today and it could be Monday before they get an invoice. Probably not, we'll probably get it out the same day or the next day, but it won't be one and done like it is with SCARS. A few notes, just the reservationist is the person who's taking pre-event registrations for any given event. I think we mentioned that earlier. It can be the branch exchequer for that who's hosting that event. And it can also be the gatekeeper, whoever is going to be taking checks. It doesn't matter. I would like to have that person warranted. So if it's branch exchequer, that makes it super easy because they're already warranted. Other notes that I had is with both reservation systems, the event has to close 14 days prior to the start of the event. That gives us time for reconciliation to make sure that the PayPal invoices match the registrations that we've received, the Google Docs from the participants, and also the money that PayPal has in their account for us. And then to get that check out to the branch before the event happens, ideally. A specific event cannot be set up in both SCARS and PayPal. If you're doing pre-registration, you have to pick one or the other. Now, PayPal here is different because that is on the spot point of sale application. So SCARS will already be closed at that point, and so will PayPal for pre-reg. PayPal here is at the door reservations. So when you get to the door, you can use PayPal even if you use SCARS as pre-reg. You will also be able to pay for heraldry through the PayPal here. Again, the swiper who has that PayPal here app will need to be trained and warranted. So I'm hoping that there's an awesome herald in each group who wants to be helpful in the in the point of getting heraldry paid for by credit cards. Doesn't have to be a herald, it can be a branch exchequer, it can be a deputy exchequer, it can be the deputy seneschal or the seneschal. It doesn't matter who, we just have to make sure that you're trained first. And then I think in order to have those PayPal here options at the door, that event site is going to have acceptable internet service. That is super important. If we're having an event out in Byers, Colorado, you might not have great internet service, so PayPal at the door may not be an option. So when your event stewards are looking for sites for their events, they do need to ask the question if there's going to be acceptable internet service, so that we can take PayPal at the door. And your populace will need to know ahead of time that it's a possibility we won't be able to take credit cards at the door, and that they should have an alternate form of payment if possible. And I think that's pretty much it. Any smartphone or tablet can be preloaded with that PayPal app. Whoever's running gate, if they have a smartphone, there will be a reader that they can plug into it and go from there. I am still working on the PayPal policy. The only Readers Society will allow us to use with our PayPal accounts are PayPal readers. And I believe there's 3 of them out right now that are available on the websites. I suspect each branch is going to want to have their own reader, so we don't have to mess with shipping readers back and forth to people. And I am going to be asking our financial committee if we will at least cover the basic reader. So I believe that's $25. As a kingdom, I think we should promote the PayPal here at the door. And if we can get a basic reader in every branch for $25, I think that's worth it. They do get a little bit more spendy with added features like tapping or having a dock for it and things like that. Not really necessary, I don't think, but if you guys wanted a better PayPal reader, that's fine. I think that we are going to try to get at least $25 of that covered and reimbursed by the kingdom. So it's not set in stone yet. Please don't tell everybody that we're going to pay for it, because we still have to iron out the details on that. But that's what I'm going to try to do for everybody, is make sure we at least cover a basic reader for each group. And it wouldn't hurt to have 2. Just so if your heralds want to have one on them when they go to populace meetings and take heraldry, that's great. We just need to know ahead of time. It's like anything else. You need to let us know what event you're going to be taking PayPal payments at, so that we can be prepared on the back end to receive those payments from PayPal. Might not want to do it at every populace meeting, but if you have, or I shouldn't say, populace meetings are usually only once a month, so that would be okay. But if it's a weekly thing like fighter practice, I wouldn't. I would restrict how often you guys use the PayPal for heraldry. Can also use it for donations. So if you have a fighter practice where you're doing a brass bowl, you could have donations available on the PayPal Here app, which is not currently available, but we're working on it. I promise. SCARS is the easiest thing to get started, so that's where we're at right now. Does anybody have any questions? Let me stop sharing, go to the chat. I saw a question from way back. The default is X-Checker. Yeah, if you don't have a reservationist, the default will be your X-Checker. Let's see. Nobody has their hand raised. And if you have comps you want us to add and track for you, you can send us that list. If somebody cancels with the SCARS, they just won't show up on that list at the end of the registration period. Amy had that question, will the email with the reservations show if they've canceled. Yeah, it should.
Question about reconciliation.
Yeah.
Are we just gonna get one check from corporate? And we're gonna have to go back and figure out whether that's what we expected?
Yeah. Yeah, for each event, you'll get one check, and I believe they do a 2-part reconciliation before they send it out officially. And I believe, I mean, I think you can probably figure out based on the report that comes out of SCARS at the end, because the totals will be on there. You'll be able to take 3% of that and pretty much know that's what your check is going to be when
And
you
if
get
there's a
back.
variance,
I think the only thing that would be weird is refunds, because even though somebody canceled a reservation in SCARS, that money was still paid to society. So you'll still get that money back to write a check. Now with,
and the SCARS report will show us that.
yeah,
When they cancel, they won't disappear. They'll be there as,
right. There will actually be 2 reports. There'll be the check-in report, the sign-in sheet, and then there will be the pending refunds report.
and then we'll have to write checks to those people.
Mhm. Yeah, you'll have to find, there should be, here, let me go in to one actually, because I know there's one out here that has a pending refund, so I can show you what it looks like. It should have an email address and a phone number on there. We're not really allowed to track people's addresses, but we can track emails. Sign in real quick. Share my screen.
And then tracking that on our quarterly reports might be a little strange too.
Yeah, there will be some. Nope, not that one.
Some changes to the quarterly.
I think that what they will have us do is just track the income, the check amount as the income from SCARS. I don't think that they're going to have us bank fee the 3%. But I'm not sure because we haven't done PayPal this whole time, and I know they have a different report for PayPal. I just don't know that part yet. I will let you know when I do find out, though. Let me see. I
Then
know.
it'll have to be a separate line item for every check we write on the quarterly report. Refunded
Yeah,
fees.
refunds. Yeah. All right. So here's one that has a refund on it. So this is what it will show. It does have an address. No kidding. Well, society tracks addresses because they have to mail out membership cards. So that makes sense. So you would have a phone number and an email address. This is what the report would look like. And you'd
we
have
have-
an address.
3 chances to contact them and make sure that we get them the money.
Yeah, I would email them first and just confirm this mailing address. Because people are moving all the time. And they don't necessarily get their membership address is not the first place to change on their mind. So, yeah. I'll be darned. I did not think that the address would be on there. Interesting. All right. Let's see, why is my iTunes bouncing? That's funny. Let's see. Any other questions?
Zada, do you have a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, so y'all know, I'm one of the SCA merchants that floaters around all over the SCA. And we do credit cards. And I will tell you right now, no matter what service with the readers, if your internet sucks, you will not be able to do credit cards.
Yeah.
And one thing we have learned from one particular non-SCA event we do is we'll have internet at the beginning of the event. As soon as the crowd is let through the gate, our internet disappears.
Good to know.
So it's according to the load on the cell tower also.
Mhm.
So if there's a load on the cell tower, you may not be able to take credit cards at gate because everybody's phone is still connected to the cell tower.
Right.
And we don't use PayPal, we're on Square.
Mhm.
And the chipless version, which is the pain in the butt one, we have to go to swiping even for that event because of the internet, because the chips require internet. And for the Square, and I don't know how the PayPal's sensitivity is, if we hit 3G instead of 4G, we have a hit or miss in getting that credit card to go. So if it's 3G, we have to swipe. And so for y'all who don't understand the difference between swiping a credit card and chipping a credit card, if you take a swiped card and it's stolen, you don't get that refund. The bank won't give it back.
Interesting.
So that's a little thing that when we were first moving to chip, the banks were very adamant about that. So if you swipe a card, it is no longer under the insurance.
Okay.
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 So we've had one credit card in like 6 years that bounced, but we were dealing with GQ Public and not like SCA Public. The other thing that we've noticed with Square, I don't know if PayPal allows you to do off-site swiping when your internet is too crazy and you swipe and then you wait for internet to come back and then it dumps all your payments. If you've got that iffy internet, and with Square, and I'm saying this is just Square, but it could happen with PayPal. If it's already in process sending that out to PayPal, and then the internet drops in the midstream, I do not know if you lose it or it saves it and then tries it again. I'd have to ask one of the PayPal merchants in those weird areas that we work in to see if they have to do the same thing. We do have a big PayPal merchant in the Outlands, which is Hannah with D-Stash Central. So if you want to maybe hit her up with helping with the weirdnesses of PayPal.
Okay.
Because D-Stash does all PayPal. So
Okay. That's good to know. Thank you, Sada.
good luck.
I do know that it's a requirement of society when we get going on PayPal that there has to be a good internet connection. If we can't get a confirmation that the charge has been accepted or approved, we're not going to be able to allow that form of payment. They'll have to pay cash. The other thing is we are not allowed to key in the credit card numbers. They have to be swiped or chipped. Have to be. So
Yeah,
that's
keying in costs more. Yeah, keying in costs more.
Yeah. Well, and it doesn't require the physical credit card to be present. Yeah.
Nope.
So, yeah, society is very, very particular about money stuff. They, being a nonprofit and being audited every year, they really are very careful of how money goes in, out this way or the other. So they have very specific rules on PayPal and money in general. But yeah, just an item of point to know.
Well, Carrick, I guess we need a satellite phone for Pickle Gulch.
Yeah, get on that.
All right, does anybody have any other questions? I did attach the SCARS policy that my Society Exchequer has approved. It kind of goes through the same workflow that the spreadsheet I was just showing you does, you know, which person in your group is responsible for what. And it also has the refund policy for individual refunds and mass cancellations, and that all refunds are paid by paper check. You can cancel through SCARS, but you won't get the refund through SCARS. You'll just have to wait until the event's over. And the requirements to be able to use SCARS. So this is why there's a signature on that authorization. There's a signature required by the Kingdom Seneschal. And that's a society requirement that the Kingdom Seneschal approves those authorizations to set up a SCARS event. That is, I just totally lost my train of thought. Oh, the reason that is, there's also a blank on there for the Kingdom Exchequer's approval. And the reason is we are required to, as a kingdom, required to have our reports in a timely manner. That's the doomsdays, that's all the quarterly financials, that's the NMR reports, it's the background check fees that we pay. They all have to be in on a time, in the appropriate period of time, all the time for us to even be able to offer SCARS to you guys. So the very first part of that policy says the same thing for you. So if you guys are not reporting on time, you may not get to use SCARS. Right now, everybody's fine. Just saying, when we start going to events and forgetting how to do the not so fun stuff anymore, that could take some people by surprise. So I just want you to know, make sure you keep reporting on time so that you can continue to use SCARS, and especially for PayPal. When we get PayPal, that's going to be an item of contention because it's a third party that PayPal also makes a lot of rules for us too, and it's not just a society. So yeah, make sure you continue to report on time, and that's why there's a signature requirement on that authorization, because there will be one for PayPal too. Every event, you'll have to have a, yep, they're still good. They can go, they can do it. All right, Isa, you had a question.
So I just created a form for free events in Google Docs. So I'm going to link it in the chat. And if you guys want to click on it and see if it works, and just put in a test event, that would be super duper helpful for me.
Awesome.
And then I think Amy has a question. What if somebody cancels but doesn't want the refund back?
Okay.
A donation?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's another reason to email or phone your refunds, the ones that show up as a refund or pending refund, because they may not want that money back. They may want to donate it to the group. So by contacting them before you write the check, you can ask the question, do you want your refund and where should we mail it? They have the opportunity to say, yeah, just keep it. But we do want them to cancel their, we do want to cancel their reservation in SCARS so that we can open that spot up to another person, since we have limits. Later on, it's not going to matter. But right now, since we have limits on how many people can attend in certain areas, we want to be able to make sure all the spots are available to people. Does that answer any questions? Are there any other questions? I don't see any more hands. I think I caught all of the questions in the chat.
Quick question. When
Yeah.
we're filling out these forms for the reservationist, do you want mundane or SCA names?
So for your event, you're gonna show everybody as they're under their SCA name. That's how they're gonna know people at events.
Okay.
However, when people are mailing checks, you can't send I mean, you probably could, but you can't really send a check to Maria Zizorek in
Right.
Parker because that's not the name on the mailbox. So you want both for the forms that you're sending to us.
Okay.
Just so you know, everything money related when you're talking to a society is going to be using mundane names.
I assumed
Yeah.
as much, but just wanted to double check.
Yeah, because it's real. It's like the one real thing we have that can bite us in the butt. So they want yeah, I don't think my boss even knows what my SCA name is, actually. And that's fine. I don't know what hers is either. Yeah, so and it's the same with the branch exchequer, because the branch exchequer is the one who's going to receive the final check. You'll want the mundane name for them as well, if it's a different person. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming. I hope we had a lot of good information for you. Hopefully it wasn't too much to confuse you right off the bat, but there's 3 of us. We're always available to answer questions one-on-one. You can email scarsdeputy@outlands.org. You can email exchequer@outlands.org. Heck, you could even email PayPal deputy at outlands.org. One of us will answer the question if we know it. We're all kind of cross-training on this right now so that we can handle the upflow of reservations that y'all want to start opening up here next month. Hopefully, we'll see. I think SCARS is super easy for us. There's very little work. Once the event is set up, and like Isa said, it's 20 minutes, if that, to set up the event. There's very little work for us to do on the rest of it. So PayPal has a little bit extra work, but not a lot. It shouldn't be bad. I think it's going to be mostly wrangling our swipers to get them trained and warranted. I think that's going to be the hard part, but we'll see. And by the way, I believe Society is hoping to go live with SCARS on Monday. I don't know if they're still on track for that. I know there were still a lot of bugs in the test modules last week, but a lot of them have been fixed. So Monday might actually be a good live date. So if you guys have things in mind, start getting them talked about. And I believe they go to the Seneschal and Crown after you guys plan the event, and then once they approve it, it'll come to us to set it up. So start doing your legwork now, and we can probably get that in there real quick. All right, so I appreciate everybody who came. I really love that we had so many people here. I have a question here. Hold on, let me just check. Okay, not a question. All right, I appreciate everybody coming. please let us know if you have any questions later. I know it's a lot to process. Hopefully the handouts that I sent with the emails can answer most of your questions, but if not, just let us know. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great weekend, rest of the weekend.